What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. He's back. Evan Neal back in the starting lineup for the New York Giants. We're going to dive into that, discuss that as the main topic of today's episode, but this is a game preview. We will just be previewing some of the key matchups in tomorrow's game versus the Carolina Panthers on the road overseas in Germany. Should be a really exciting, interesting matchup between two of the worst teams in football. Can't wait to watch that 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. But no, seriously, the Evan Neal news is pretty big. The Giants deciding to flip Jermaine Illuminor from the right side of the line to the left side of the line. We've been speculating about this for months, Alex, or weeks rather. Ever since Andrew Thomas went down with a season-ending foot injury, we were like, hey, is this time to get Evan Neal back in the lineup? Is Jermaine Illuminor going to move to left tackle? The Giants at first seemed hesitant. They seemed resistant to that idea, actually. They went ahead and put Josh Ezeudu in at left tackle. Then they went and signed Chris Hubbard off the 49ers practice squad, and he was an absolute disaster. Been dealing with an illness as well, and apparently, according to Art Stapleton, for several weeks now, the Giants have been preparing to get Evan Neal back into the lineup. They've been having their practices, Alex, I'm not sure if you saw this detail. The Giants' offensive line practices have been happening behind the building away from media. They've been purposely hiding their offensive line practices from the media in order to keep all of this under wraps and make sure that the media didn't know what was going on. But it sounds like what was going on, the Giants were preparing to get Evan Neal back into the starting lineup, and that is happening tomorrow versus the crappy Carolina Panthers. Honestly, Alex, if the Giants were going to plug him back in any week, this is probably the week. You've got a bad opponent that you're facing this week on the road in Germany. I think now is the perfect time to try and get Evan Neal back in the lineup, if there ever is a perfect time. And obviously, guys, we've been very critical of Evan Neal in the past. Who hasn't? He's been the worst offensive tackle in football over the past 2 years, and he's missed a lot of time due to injuries. However, I have said I refuse to give up on him. I want to see him turn things around because he is a top 10 draft pick, and the Giants, they can't keep missing on top 10 draft picks. They need Evan Neal to pan out. They need him to turn things around. So possibly all this time off, recovering from injury, being benched, working behind the scenes with Carmen Brasillo, maybe this has been exactly what Evan Neal needed to get back on track. Let's see how he performs tomorrow. Could be a disaster, obviously, but hey, maybe he surprises us. Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? How are you feeling knowing that Evan Neal is returning to the starting lineup in Germany?
God, this is where we are as a Giants fan right now, where we're praying to God that the last 10 weeks where Evan Neal has been developing, sitting, learning, regaining his confidence, getting healthy, can actually mean something, right? Like, Evan Neal's talent didn't just disappear. He was a top offensive tackle prospect coming out of Alabama. He was an absolute force of nature, and an athletic freak. I remember seeing the videos of him jumping like 4 feet in the air. And I'm like, where did this guy go? You know, where did the talent go? The Giants obviously threw him into the fire. His confidence was shot. He injured both of his ankles, had surgery on his foot last offseason. Like, it just started to compound. The negatives started to compound. And you know what? Like, I don't want to use this example, but it's one that does pop into my mind. And Bryce Young, you know, like, they benched him. He sat for a couple weeks. He came back and looked way better against the Saints last week. So maybe, you know, the Giants bench Evan Neal. He learns, develops, regains his confidence, gets healthy, comes back, and looks a lot better. Now, the truth of the matter is simple. The Giants cannot trot back out there Chris Hubbard or Josh Ezeudu. Why? Because neither of them can pass protect. Hubbard was a solid run-blocking tackle for 2 weeks, but he literally can't pass protect. The Giants are going to move Jermaine Illuminor, who barely has any experience at left tackle, over to that position just because they need to throw the football. Like, they literally cannot win football games if they have to erase half their playbook. So they're risking it all with Jermaine at left tackle. He doesn't want to play there. He's made it very, very clear that he prefers to stay at right tackle. But now, obviously, he's going over and playing on the left side and hopefully can hold his own. And Evan Neal at right tackle, we know look, I'm not expecting anything. I want to make that very clear. I am expecting zero from Evan Neal. I'll let him prove us wrong. Let him prove us to us that he has been developing, learning, watching, studying, and getting better, being humble behind the scenes. I'm excited to see him play because I know that talent is still there somewhere, buried under the Bobby Johnson era. But hopefully Carmen Brasil was able to maximize, his talent, get it out of him, just reach even sniff the potential. Not even ask him to reach his potential just right now. Just sniff it, scratch it, look at it, climb towards it, anything. We just want any sort of optimism, any sort of positivity that we can say, okay, you know what? Maybe Evan Neal has a future with this team. Maybe we aren't going to end up trading him for pennies on the dollar next year because we don't want to pay his fifth-year option. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he could be a competent swing tackle at the very least. That would be great for the Giants. That would be ideal, actually, if he ended up developing into a competent swing tackle and the Giants had Jermaine at right tackle and Andrew Thomas at left tackle for a rookie quarterback next year. That would be the ideal scenario, would it not? But I don't know. Are you expecting anything from Evan Neal? I'm expecting nothing. He is bad until proven otherwise, and this is a great opportunity for him to come in against a bad Panthers team and build some confidence moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, he's not just bad until proven otherwise. He's the worst until proven otherwise. Anytime he's been on the field in his short NFL career so far, he's been the worst offensive tackle in football. So hopefully he's developed behind the scenes and he could step in and be better. But I'm with you. No expectations, none at all. Let's just see what happens. And obviously this is going to be probably an ugly game between two of the worst teams in football with two of the worst offenses, which is why, Alex, I think when you take a look at some of the lines in this game, they're pretty interesting. If you're taking a look at it over here on BetUS, the content sponsor of this episode, the lines here. Giants money line, so they're favored to win this game with a 6.5 point spread. I'm not sure why the spread is so wide, but look at the over-under on points, 40.5. This is expected to be an ugly, low-scoring game. But one thing that I do like here is the Giants under 23.5 points. I think this is going to be about a 20 to 15, 20 to 10 kind of matchup. I don't know how you feel about that one, Alex, but under 23.5 minus 115 feels solid. I just think the Giants averaging the least amount of points in the NFL, taking the under on their points is usually a safe bet. But I don't know, maybe against this Panthers team, they can put up some points. What do you think of that one, Alex? Over under 23.5 for the Giants.
Over under 23. Oh, God. I taking the under. Why? Because they simply cannot score points, guys. They are the worst offense in football. I know the Panthers defense is horrible. I know they suck. But the Giants can't score touchdowns. They have the worst red zone percentage in football. They score on 40% of their drives to the red zone. That is horrible. And they've not played great teams every game this season. They've played some bad football teams. The Panthers, they're not a good team. But think about this. They went to Germany. They're probably jet lagged. They're probably fatigued. They're probably exhausted. They're, probably swollen from the flights. Their knees are hurting because they're big dudes on airplanes for 8-9 hours. I don't think there's going to be much scoring in this game. I think it's going to be probably a 15 to 17 type of contest for this one. I'm taking the under for the Giants. I don't trust them to score points, especially without Darius Slayton there and a new combination at offensive tackle. I just can't convince me to trust it. I think they're going to be heavily relying on the run game again.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pivot, though. I'm not going to take the over 23.5 on the Giants. I'm going to take the over 16.5 for the Panthers after taking a look at the Panthers' recent games. 23 points versus the Saints last week. 14 points versus the Broncos the week prior, 7. But they had 20 against the Falcons, 24 against the Bengals. Against bad teams, they are putting up at least 20 points is what it seems like. So, screw it. 16.5, that's a really low bar to reach. I'm not going to put much, just 10. But guys, make sure you go check out BetUS and use code YouTube150 for 150% deposit match on your deposit up to $2,000. Lots of fun. Love the lines over at BetUS and love winning a little bit of cash. We cashed on the last one a couple days ago. That was nice for the Thursday Night Football game. Had the Bengals points. Bengals smashed that. Shout out to Jamar Chase. So again, guys, go check out BetUS. But back to the New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers game preview against over in Germany. I'm running out of breath here. The New York Giants versus the Panthers. Okay, let's dive back in. Evan Neal, I think we've kind of wrapped that discussion here. We don't have high expectations for him. We're hoping and praying that he proves us wrong, but to this point, he's been terrible. But now I want to talk about Jermaine Illuminor, Alex, because that's the other kind of factor to consider here when the Giants make this move to put Evan Neal back in the lineup. Not only are they putting Neal in the lineup, but they are moving Jermaine Illuminor to left tackle, which, in my opinion, should stabilize some things for this Giants offense. I think that the Giants should have an easier time throwing the ball downfield because of Illuminor switching sides, just because what they've been getting from Chris Hubbard, they haven't had any time in the pocket. Daniel Jones hasn't had any time to operate, survey the field, and throw the ball 20-plus yards down past the line of scrimmage. Not saying that he does that often anyway. He wasn't doing it a ton when Andrew Thomas was in the lineup, but the opportunities should be a little bit more bountiful now. They should have more opportunities and more time in the pocket. So what are you expecting from Jermaine Oluminor? He hasn't played left tackle in a couple years. I think that's important for people to note. He does have experience playing it, but he hasn't really played it full time for multiple starts in a couple seasons. Are you expecting him to easily transition over to the left side of the line and continue to play at a high level? Or are you somewhat worried that that move from the right to the left could cause him to take a step back and maybe falter in his game a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're moving a guy who has a substantial amount of reps, who's played the last 2 years, 2.5 years now, at right tackle at a high level, and you're moving him to a position where he barely has any experience. I mean, you know, it's like throwing with your left hand. That's what an offensive tackle that will tell you if they have to go play another position, other side. It's like throwing with your non-dominant hand. The sets are different. Your feet are different. Everything's different. The timing is different. The dropbacks are different. You know, when you do something for 3 straight years, if not longer, at a pretty decently high level, and then they ask you to change that entire fundamental, it is not easy. You know, he is going to be surviving at left tackle. And look, the reason they're doing it now, Anthony, is not because Evan Neal's ready, in my opinion. The reason they're doing it now is because the Panthers have a horrible pass rush. So they want to get them out there against a weaker pass rush to build confidence and get a better look at what they're doing. There's a reason they didn't do it against the Steelers, right? They just did not trust that they would be able to hold their own against an elite pass rush that is TJ Watt and Highsmith. You need a weaker unit like the Panthers to generate confidence, to build that up, and then hopefully transition that and compound on that. Now you have a bye week. You can look into what you did wrong. You can look into what you can change, you know, the fundamental tweaks and changes there that should help them get better. But this is strategic. Like, they're doing this because it's the Panthers, not because Evan Neal's ready, in my opinion. And they need to get throwing the football. They have to be more effective throwing the football. Otherwise, they're going to lose this game. I do think that Joe Shane and mostly Brian Daboll acknowledges one thing. The Giants cannot win only running the football. They're not the Ravens. You know, they have to be effective with the ball in Daniel Jones's hand. And if they can't throw the ball, they're going to lose this game, right? That's unfortunate because the Panthers, their offense, yeah, it's not good, but it's better than the Giants, which is freaking embarrassing to say the least. Their offensive line has been spotty. They have no receivers left. Their running game has been phenomenal with Chuba Hubbard. I mean, I would say phenomenal is kindly stated, but they've been effective to say the least. And you know, they can put up some points on occasion. Listen, I think if the Giants lose this game, like we're looking at code red, man. Like DEFCON 5 if they lose this game for a lot of different reasons. Probably the best interest of the Giants to lose this game, but I think the coaching staff and when it comes to Daniel Jones, I think it's over for him. Like the Daniel Jones era, if they lose this game, ends tomorrow morning. That's really what I think happens here, because you're 2-8. You just lost to arguably the worst team in the sport, and your quarterback was the one manning that offense and being the signal caller. So this could be the end of Daniel Jones tomorrow morning, going into the bye. Week 12, who knows? You just protect yourself at that point. You know what I mean? You prepare for the future. So that's kind of where I foresee this going. Like, this game has massive implications. Does DJ survive another week? Does his tenure end here? We're going to find out, my friends. And one thing's for sure. They know they have to throw the football to win this game, and they're trying to do anything they possibly can to get back to a point where their offensive line is at least somewhat competent.
Get him out of here! Get him out of the lineup, man. If the Giants lose tomorrow's game, get this guy out of the damn lineup. Take Daniel Jones and leave him in Germany if the Giants lose to the goddamn Carolina Panthers at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. If that happens, I don't want to ever see Daniel Jones take another snap for the New York Giants. Do you understand how embarrassing and pathetic it would be to lose that game tomorrow? Yeah, I understand, guys. It might be in the best interest of the Giants long term. They might be able to get a higher draft pick and possibly draft Cam Ward. So if you're rooting for the Giants to lose, whatever, I'm not mad at you. But if they do lose, holy embarrassment. Brian Daboll losing to the goddamn Carolina Panthers in Germany. Again, I've made this point before. Winning these international games might not really make a difference to Giants fans, but it sure as shit makes a difference to Giants ownership. The Giants are an international brand. They have a strong fan base in Europe. And they rarely play there, but when they do, they have found a lot of success. The Giants have a great all-time record when playing international games. These things matter to John Mara. They matter to Steve Tisch. The New York Giants cannot lose this game tomorrow because then jobs will be on the line. John Mara preached patience. He said that he's going to be patient with Joe Schoen, and Brian Daboll doesn't anticipate any end-of-season firings. But watch them get blown out in Germany versus the Panthers, and watch everybody get left in Germany. That's how that would happen. I'm telling you, this is a very important game for this coaching staff, for this general manager, and for this quarterback. If this is a lost game, this is a lost season, and these are lost jobs. I'm promising you that. Again, I understand it might help us with draft positioning. It might help us land our quarterback. You guys know more than anything in this world I want to draft a quarterback. I need this era of the New York Giants to end. I need a new era to be born desperately. That is all that I need. Just draft a quarterback. Hopefully it's Cam Ward or whoever the top guy ends up being by the time we go to April. That's what I want to see. But at the same time, I kind of like Daboll. I kind of want him to keep his job. Daboll's not keeping his job at the end of the season if he loses this game in Germany versus the freaking Panthers. So, again, if the Giants lose tomorrow, I don't want to see another snap from Daniel Jones. Because even if he's not the reason that they lose tomorrow, he won't be the reason that they win if they end up losing. You know, say that a punt returner fumbles the ball and the Giants end up losing the game to the Panthers because of that. That still is reason enough to bench Daniel Jones. Why? Because they were even in position to lose to the Panthers. If the Giants don't blow out the Panthers tomorrow, you take Daniel Jones out of the lineup. Even if they win and it's close and ugly, take him out of the damn lineup. That tells you everything you need to know about your team and your roster and your ability to win games down the stretch of this season. If you can barely beat the Panthers, you're not going to beat a single damn good team. The Panthers have a historically bad roster. That roster is gross. Baby puke everywhere. Don't want to talk about it. If the Giants don't blow out this team, make the changes, take him out of the lineup, and start planning for 2025. Put a different quarterback in there, evaluate your youth, and evaluate your head coach. Because last year, when Daniel Jones was out of the lineup, it was the perfect time to evaluate Brian Daboll because the question was, can he win without his quarterback? Can he win without this? Can he win without? Can he make this bad roster win games just as a head coach? And you know what he proved? He can. He found ways to win without a starting quarterback. He found ways to win with great coaching. So, if he can do that again this year when they inevitably bench Daniel Jones, we can go into 2025 with Daboll, let it ride, get him a new quarterback, and see what he can do. However, if he just keeps trotting out the same quarterback and they keep losing games or barely winning games against bad teams, what does that say about the future of this team? How can we properly evaluate the head coach and evaluate the rest of the roster without knowing whether or not it looks different if we make a change at quarterback? So the change is inevitable. If they lose tomorrow, oh my God, you have to take Daniel Jones out of the lineup. Even if they win tomorrow, though, it needs to be a very emphatic, convincing win for me to justify keeping Daniel Jones in the lineup. That's how I feel about it. The Giants can't win this game by 3 points and justify keeping Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. This is a bad team. You have to blow this team out. You have to play good football. Daniel Jones played well last week. He needs to have another one of those performances because what do we always say about him, Alex? He's inconsistent as shit, and it's not good enough to just be good enough. If Daniel Jones isn't stacking and compounding great performances on a week-to-week basis, what are we doing here? Just take him out and see if somebody else can spark something. If he has a great performance against Washington, that's fantastic. I love it. But if he has a terrible performance the next week versus the Panthers, tells you everything you need to know about your quarterback. So, yeah, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm angry, and I can't wait to just get pissed off tomorrow. I already know that something stupid is going to happen in that game just because that's the perfect way for the Giants script to go this season. But Alex, what do you think about that? If the Giants win tomorrow, but they win very narrowly, that's justification to bench Daniel Jones for you, or is it not?
He should already be benched. Like, what are we talking about? He's 2-7. We're 2-7. 0-6 in the division. The season's over. Like, we need to be thinking about the future. Like, starting Evan Neal tomorrow to build confidence against a bad Panthers team is a forward thinking. Like, that's what we're doing with this. We're trying to get ahead of it.
True.
Right?
Okay. Yes, but counterpoint. Thinking about the future, losing games, is that argument to keep Daniel Jones in the lineup?
Oh shit. Well, in that case, maybe.
Does he give us the best chance to win, or does he give us the best chance to lose and draft his replacement?
I mean, the Giants are averaging 15.4 points per game this year, dead last in football, and Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Look, you could have no offensive line. No, like literally nobody there, and score more points if you were a good quarterback. Like, that's how bad this offense is. And we have a WR1. We all talked about get him a WR1. Or we talked about, some people did. Get him a WR1, get him a left tackle, get him a right tackle, get him an offense. The guy needs Jesus at all 5 offensive line positions for him to turn water into wine. It's not going to fucking happen. You know what I mean? Like, we're beyond the point of excuses. Beyond the point. We are so far past excuses, it's not even funny. He is gone after this year. Like, if you're still hanging on to this concept by a thread that he's going to be here in the future, there's only one way it's possible he's here in the future, and it's to be a bridge for a rookie quarterback. But I don't think that he'll accept that. Like, I mean, he'll accept the paycheck, that's for sure. But the guaranteed money's already guaranteed, so he's getting that money. I do think that in the end, the Giants need to stop the bleeding now because these players look depressed. I'll give you a good example, L'Jarius Sneed. You want to know how far L'Jarius Sneed has fallen from being a superstar cornerback, CB1 bona fide ace on that Chiefs defense last year? The dude is one of the worst cornerbacks in football this year with the freaking Titans. You want to talk about what losing does to you? Go look at what it does to you. Go look at what losing does to players, right? The Giants are losers. Their players respond like losers. You look at Malik Neighbors pointing to Darius Slayton wide open. Daniel Jones misses the throw. Neighbors, hands in the air. He says, eventually we're going to get there because we're in the mud right now. We've seen the right people in place. I mean, these guys are losing, and their best players are playing poorly because they're losing, and they have no confidence. It's week 10. Some of these guys are still fighting their ass off, and I respect them. But when week 16 comes around and this team is a 3-win team, a 4-win team, we're going to see what the leadership looks like here. We're going to see what this really gets to. And Daniel Jones, you want to know what made Eli such an effective leader, Anthony? He went out there and did it. He performed in the biggest moments, right? Fourth quarter comebacks, Super Bowls, playoffs, offensive line was a disaster. He showed up every day, played hurt, played battered, did not say a word about it. And I'll say one thing, Daniel Jones, he doesn't say a word about it, but he does not win those fourth quarter games. He does not win in the playoff, I mean, one win anomaly. He does not lead your team to Super Bowls, right? Like, we're talking about leading by production. Like, Mahomes, he's hurt, team is battered, team is bruised. They're still winning games. They still have belief. They still play their heart out. The Giants are not playing their heart out anymore, man. You know what I mean? Like, your team has to rally around your quarterback. Everyone knows this. This is not a rarity. This is not something that, I should be preaching to the choir right now. Your team rallies around your best player, and that best player has to be your quarterback every single time. No one's rallying around Dexter Lawrence. The offense isn't rallying around Dexter Lawrence, but the defense sure as hell will rally around Daniel Jones. Playing well, they'll go out there, get a stop, give him the football, fight for another chance, fight for another down. And they're still trying and fighting out there despite the fact they know their offense is putting up a league worst 15 points per game. So do I think Daniel Jones should be benched, or should he have been benched? Yes. He should already be on the bench, man. We need to protect ourselves from that injury clause. There's no reason. They're the worst offense in football. How much worse could it possibly get? You know what I mean? Like, how much worse could it possibly get? I honestly don't know. This is the most embarrassing offense, despite the fact I think Brian Daboll was a hell of a play caller, and we've seen flashes of that, and we still can't generate any points. We still can't score touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, it's devastating. It's devastating. It's embarrassing. You have to react to that at some point. And I know I'm sorry for going on a little tangent there, but it just comes out of me. It just is what it is.
It happens, man. It's hard to contain the emotions at this point in the season. 2-7 once again. Man, this sucks. I want to bring something up, though, and this is a little bit off topic, but, you mentioned Eli Manning. So I just got curious, and I searched up some numbers, and I'm looking at the stats between Daniel Jones and Eli Manning. Through the first 6 seasons of Daniel Jones' career, he has had 7 fourth-quarter comebacks and 9 game-winning drives. Eli Manning, through the first 6 seasons of his career, had 11 fourth-quarter comebacks and 13 game-winning drives. He had how many touchdowns? 125 passing touchdowns through the first 6 seasons of his career compared to 70 from Daniel Jones. 50 touchdown difference. That tells you everything you need to know. If you think back to, man, I used to love the New York Giants. Our offense used to be so fun to watch. Why can't Daniel Jones lead an offense like this? It's not about the talent around him. It's straight up just a skill issue. Compare his skill to Eli Manning's. man, sometimes people in these comments get really crazy and they say, oh, Daniel Jones is Eli Manning. He just doesn't have the same supporting cast. Anytime I see a comment like that, Alex, I think I lose like 5 years of my life. I lose my mind whenever I see a comment like that. Eli Manning was such a damn good quarterback, underappreciated. I miss the shit out of him. Dude, even if you're looking at the sack numbers, Eli's been sacked. He was sacked 150 times. I mean, yeah, I guess Daniel Jones 206 times. I don't know. They both played under tremendous amounts of pressure, but somebody threw 50 more touchdowns than the other. So, I don't know. I think that tells you everything that you need to know. I miss Eli, man. I can't wait for next year, though, next summer, when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Just to let you know, Alex, I'll be taking off work that week. I'm going to be going to Ohio. I'm going to be going to see Eli Manning get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I've had this plan for like 5 years. I always told my mom, whenever Eli Manning gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, we're taking a short vacation out to Ohio. We're going to go see him get inducted. I can't wait for that because that man is a first ballot Hall of Famer next August. Can't wait to see him enshrined in Canton. Absolutely fully deserved. I miss Eli, man. It's been a long time since the Giants have been good. Eli. He was such a difference maker. I don't mean to get all nostalgic and reminiscent and sad, but man, the Giants suck. I don't know what we can look back on other than just the Eli years and be happy about that. This has been a terrible 6 seasons. And now we're talking about keys to winning against the goddamn Carolina Panthers in Week 10. Oh, man, have we fallen. We have fallen. We have fallen so far from the good graces of God, I swear.
Yeah, we have. So let's run through 3 keys to win really, really, really fast. Hyper 3 keys, because it's not that hard, right? Throw the football effectively. Don't let Bryce Young beat you. He should be extremely, vulnerable and mitigated here. Our pass rush is very good. We should be able to get to him. And the third thing is control the clock. It's that simple. Don't turn the ball over. If you want to add a 4th honorable mention in there, don't turn the ball over. Control the clock. Throw the football. and win the game. Win the game. What else can I say?
My 3 keys will be get pressure on Bryce Young, Brian Burns' revenge game versus the Carolina. Brian Burns' revenge game versus the Carolina Panthers. If he can get some pressure on Bryce Young, I think that will help the New York Giants win. Hit some deep shots downfield. The Panthers don't have a great secondary. And with Darius Slayton out of the lineup, this is not only a major opportunity for Evan Neal, as we discussed earlier, major opportunity for Jalen Hyatt. Don't turn the ball over. You turn the ball over, you'll lose games because you don't have a wide margin for error when you are a terrible New York Giants team. So those are my 3 keys. A little more PG than Alex's 3 keys. But let us know your 3 keys down below. Your thoughts on Evan Neal and everything else with this Giants game against the Panthers in Germany. Should be an exciting one. I can't wait. Make sure to go ahead and check out BetUS as well. Use code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit match. BetUS Sportsbook with the fastest payouts in the industry. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Follow us on social media at Fireside Giants. Catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.